Everybody. I think I am live. I haven't come on and done a live for quite a while, so I thought I would do one. Oh, what's happening? Yeah, I'm live, I think. So hi, for anybody who jumps on. I wanted to come on and just talk a little bit more about weight loss, belly fat, and yesterday I posted and I sent out an email with just a little bit more information about what's causing the problems, why it's so difficult to lose weight when we hit our 40s. And if you haven't already read those, I've sent out 2 emails this week. Excuse me, one on Monday, one on Wednesday. So go and look for those, and they're also posted in this group. Best to read those before you listen to this because it will make more sense. But yesterday I talked about the fact that, hormones are what dictates what goes on. So I wanted to explain that a little bit more because it's easier to do it by video than it is to just write all the time. I love writing, but I know some of you really enjoy listening and watching and more visual. So I thought I would jump on now and do that. So let's first start by talking about what the body does with fat storage and how we kind of evolved to it. So during sort of the evolutionary process, we would have had less access to food on a regular basis. So we would have had a feast and famine type of scenario. If you think back to, the ages where food, we would have to hunt it, etc. We would have either plenty or we would have none. And the body slowly adapted. The body's very clever and it's slowly adapted to be able to survive with this kind of feast and famine type of scenario. And the way that it did that was to create fat storage. Basically your fat cells, that is what they're there for. They're there to pack away and store fat for a rainy day when we don't perhaps have it. That's why people can survive without food for far longer than they can survive without water. So that is the evolution of fat cells, and they're there for a very good reason. It's a survival mechanism. Now, as part of that, in order for the fat to be stored away and released for use, we have hormones. Hormones dictate so many things in our body. When we talk about hormones, most people just think about our female hormones, our estrogen and progesterone. But there are so many hormones in the body, and they play a vital role in our fat storage. Now, there are 2 main hormones that are known as fat storing hormones, and they do have other uses as well. They have other roles, but the 2 hormones that are most related to or important for fat storage are insulin and cortisol. So you'll have heard of both of those. Insulin, you've probably heard of, related to blood glucose and diabetes, etc. And cortisol, everyone knows, is your stress hormone. But most people don't know that cortisol is a fat storing hormone as well. So they're the ones that pack that allow the process of storing the fat, because you can't take fat into the cells. You can't store as food as fat unless you've got hormones present. And then you have also got the hormones that are important for releasing and allowing the storage unit to be used, to released and used for energy. And there's 2 main hormones, glucagon and the thyroid hormone, so thyroxine primarily. And so when those hormones are out of balance is when we either store too much fat or release too much fat. And it's that is absolutely critical. And this is the key thing that diets don't take into account, and actually the key thing that diets mess around with and cause more problems with. And so that's why when you hit your 40s and other hormones start to go out of balance, which all have an impact on those 4 hormones that I've talked about, That then causes the weight to go on when we don't want it, and it makes it more difficult to shift it, whereby once you might have been able to just starve yourself, diet, restrict, etc. Now that's not going to work anymore, and actually that's going to make things worse. And increasing your exercise and doing loads and loads of cardio and pushing and pushing and pushing. I had a lady yesterday who messaged me, and she said, I've done all the things that you listed. I've tried keto, I've tried intermittent fasting, I've tried all the exercises, I do HIIT, I do body combat, all those things, and yet I can't lose an ounce. And she's a typical example of somebody whose body is just saying, no, not going to release this, not until you change tactics. And that is what I teach. That is what I help women to do. And when they start to do that, and they start to work with their body and with their hormones, then the fat will start to come off, and not before. And the lovely thing about it is that when you do start to do it the right way, and you start to work with your body, it's actually enjoyable, because you're not hungry and you're not feeling restricted, you're not miserable, you have loads more energy because you're giving your body the nutrients that it needs, and everything starts to shift. You start to sleep better, your energy's improved, your mood improves, all of these things. Now, yesterday I interviewed one of the women that I worked with recently, called Maria B. If you didn't see that, you can find the recording in the group. If you're not in the Facebook group, if you're watching this elsewhere, then you can join the Facebook group, and you will be able to see all the interviews I've done with previous clients. And she yesterday was talking about how she managed to, in under 8 weeks, reverse her pre-diabetes diagnosis, which is no mean feat. And she also lost inches. She talked about the fact that she'd never been large, she'd never had this kind of fat around her belly and etc. And then suddenly it come from nowhere, and this diagnosis of pre-diabetes, which really shocked her because she wasn't expecting it. And so using my process, working with my method, she managed to do it. And so if you want to have a look at that, you'll find that in this group. It was yesterday, which was the 24th of August. So for those who want to know more about how I do this, I have my main program, which looks at the whole body. It's basically a reset. It's for people who have got lots of things going on, low energy, low mood, anxiety, all the things, plus the weight. Not necessarily the weight, but that can be part of it. That's my big program, which is a 6-month program. That's the Revitalize method. But every few months I run the belly buster method, and it's taking one part of my big program and just focusing on that, which is getting rid of that belly fat. Now, as part of it, you also do feel better. Energy can increase, and so on. But the focus is getting rid of the excess weight, and it doesn't have to be on the belly. It can be anywhere, kind of thighs, bum, etc. But most women tend to notice that when they hit perimenopause and into menopause, the weight starts to shift from their bum and their thighs onto their belly, and so that's why it's called the belly buster method. But it works for all weight loss at this stage of life, and is very much created for women going through this phase. So if you're interested in finding out more about it, just drop a message in the comments or drop me a private message, and I will get back to you with the details. We start on September the 5th, Monday, September the 5th, which is when the first masterclass starts. So we start very gently. You don't just dive straight in, and you're not expected immediately to change your diet. We do it in a process. It's a 5-week program. So I'm very excited to run it again. I had fantastic results with the first group that went through it. I love doing it because I just love seeing the results that women get when they start to understand, and also just the sort of aha moments and the realization that what they've been doing for all these years has been wrong, and actually it's so much more simple when you know what to do. All right, I will leave it there. Take care. Bye for now.